Hello!
Welcome to the Believe podcast, the conspiracy theory podcast. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And we are two comedians presenting a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories. Or maybe they're not that crazy.
Well, today.
Yeah, exactly. And each week we invite in a guest, and the guest picks a conspiracy theory they want to talk about. It might be a conspiracy theory they believe in. It might be a conspiracy theory they don't believe in. It might be a conspiracy theory they just think is the craziest thing they've ever heard, and they want to dissect it. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk through it with facts that we've got from the internet, because we don't know anything at all. And most of the time, neither does our guest. Now, this is quite a big one, isn't it, that we've got this week?
Yeah. Like, this is the granddaddy of conspiracy theories. This is JFK. Was there a second gunman?
Yeah. Now, probably important to point out, there are a lot of conspiracy theories about JFK. So we are not going to try and cover all of them in this episode, because that's why we're sticking specifically to the second gunman theory. But we will cover some of the others in other episodes of this. But this will probably stray into some of those theories anyway, because that's the nature of what we do.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. So we're going to dissect that. I should also give a shout out to our wonderful tech, Brian.
Yay!
Also, I need to plug my tour.
Phil Green is going on tour.
Thank you. With my show, 4 Weddings and a Breakdown. It is going to Cambridge, Weston-super-Mare, Southampton, Sudbury, Bristol, Brighton, Glasgow, Sheffield, Liverpool and Poole. Starts on the 19th of January. So if you go onto our social media channels, you will find a link there. And if you want to follow us on social media, it's at believeconspiracypodcast on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, where you can watch this, although you might be watching this now. So anyway. And the person that we have brought in today to talk about JFK, was there a second gunman, is
Jamie Allerton.
The wonderful Jamie Allerton, a fabulous comedian, Liverpool Echo Comedian of the Year finalist. Jamie also had a fantastic show at the Edinburgh Festival last year called Jamie Allerton Goes to the Movies. We both went to see that because we're big movie buffs, but it was a brilliant show. And he also does a podcast about movies as well. It's called the Best Movie 2 podcast, which you've been on.
I have, yes.
And what was your subject?
My subject, what's the best movie to get fashion advice from?
Absolutely. Nailed on. Perfect person for that.
Because I am a fashion god.
So let's bring him on.
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
Like, if they're actually spraying something in the sky.
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Welcome to the podcast, Jamie Allerton! Yay!
It's me.
How is you? Live
God.
in person. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Travel down from Liverpool just for this?
Just for this, yeah. Just for, what is it, 1.5 million subscribers?
That's
you
it.
Now?
Yeah, that's it.
So
Yeah.
all of them.
We were just talking before this, you've got your own podcast, all about movies.
I have.
And we have got a little bit of movie stuff coming in here, and you recorded 3 in one day.
I did, yeah. I just wanted to get them out of the way.
Yeah.
Because as you'll know, when you start a podcast, around about episode 15, you go, I've made a mistake here. This is a waste of my time, their time,
Yeah.
my audience's time.
Yeah.
So I just tried to. I'm sure this will go out later, but we're recording this in that midweek weird thing between Christmas and New Year's,
Yeah.
and when no one's got anything on, I was like, let's just record as many episodes as possible. So last night I was up at like 11:30 recording the final one with my eyes kind of closing.
Were you speaking in any kind of sense?
I hope so. I haven't edited the podcast yet. But luckily, when you do the edit, you can move stuff around.
Exactly, yeah. Make yourself look great.
I've sampled audio clips of all my guests laughing really loud. So we can do that thing that all podcasts do now, where you say something kind of on a 2 level of funny, and then they...
Yeah.
That's the best thing I've ever heard!
Yeah. And then use it again.
Yeah.
And again.
Again.
What's your favourite movie that you've covered on your podcast?
Do you know, I haven't covered it yet, but The Thing is my favourite movie of all time. So I'm looking forward to... That's the one that I'm holding off on. But we kind of cover...
I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead as well.
Get out. Absolutely get out. That's worse than what the CIA did.
To prove JFK. What's the premise of your podcast?
So it just answers a question each week. So it's called The Best Movie 2. And then, so it's like, what's the best movie to watch on a hangover? What's the best movie to watch if you've just been dumped? Beautiful David, what's the best movie to get some fashion inspiration?
Yeah,
So-
rightly so.
I was wearing a Star Trek
Of
t-shirt.
course you were.
And I look back at that footage and went, oh my God, I look like that. It was horrific, but also ironic and funny, right?
Just a t-shirt, no trousers. He was winning the tournament,
Yeah, that's how he rolls.
which did ruin the couch, but it was worth it.
Don't look under this table, whatever you do.
That's just because of my physical reaction.
Yeah. On that one, I came to the conclusion that I think Gomez Addams is probably the best dressed person in cinema
He
history.
is exceptionally well dressed.
He never looks bad.
No, he
does
never looks bad. And probably one of the most charming people, surely, in movie history.
Yeah,
Character.
we're talking about Julia.
Oh, yeah,
Gomez.
of course. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of
The guy from Wednesday.
the Wednesday. Oh, what's
Yeah.
his name? It's
I've forgotten his name.
he's the one who kills Carlito.
We'll edit that out.
We need to edit that out.
Louis Guzman.
That's a
Louis
spoiler.
Guzman. There we go. I got it. Louis Guzman.
Yeah.
Louis Guzman.
Spoilers for 1992's Carlito's Way.
Do you know what spoiled Carlito's Way for me? Layer Cake is the same movie,
Oh yeah.
and I knew where it was going. Went, and they got it for fuck you.
I think
Even though I like Layer
the
Cake.
start of Carlito's Way spoils it when he's lying on her again and going, "Oh, I'm out of here now."
Yeah,
This
but
is me now.
there's plenty of movies that start with the death of the character, and
Yeah.
and then it's
And then work backwards.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what this does. But before we get into that,
Very straight, Phil.
Oh, honestly, mate, no, we're 9 episodes in. I don't know what we're doing now. Conspiracy theories. How do you feel about conspiracy theories? Are you a believer? Do you believe some, reject some? What's your feeling on them?
I love them. I think it's a shame that they kind of get all clubbed together
Yeah,
because you have some where it's like, the COVID vaccine gives you autism and stuff.
yeah,
Where you're like, I don't think I'm about as autistic as I was before
yeah,
I had the vaccine.
yeah.
and-
We've not noticed any change. In fairness.
Yeah, just that I can park in better places. But I haven't got a car. I just,
But you got the
then
badge.
you've got stuff where you're like, your JFKs and your 9/11s. I'd say the top three have got to be surely JFK, 9/11, and Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, oh, hang on, there's something there. Maybe not Area 51. That's a bit silly, but they kind of all get clubbed together.
They do.
Which there should be a rating, like from something like I think JFK. Most people would agree something's amiss there.
Yeah.
Down to if you have feelings, the government can tune into what you're thinking.
Yeah, because even the
Yeah.
yeah, even the term conspiracy theorist itself is a problem, right? Because you're lumping someone, as soon as you said someone's a conspiracy theorist, then we immediately by default disbelieve.
Well,
Yeah.
where did the conspiracy theory come from?
Exactly.
Am I jumping the
Yeah.
gun?
No,
here?
you're not jumping the gun, because you're right that this really is where it all kicked off, right?
The Warren Commission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the first big one where, this is the one that stops Americans from trusting their government. And
Yeah.
this, post World War II, everyone's like, we did it, we're the heroes. Look
Going
how
to the moon.
we bombed Japan twice. Was that, should we have? Yeah, but we won, so it doesn't matter.
How we got there.
Yeah.
But you're right, though, because people believed what they saw and what was printed as gospel truth, didn't they? As fact prior to this, and even actually during this, they did. But it was only really a few years later that disbelief and that mistrust started coming in. People started questioning things.
Well,
didn't
the Kennedy murder assassination was 1963, wasn't it? And by 1968, people believed that it had been a conspiracy. That's how quick the turnaround was.
Yeah.
And in the Vietnam War started happening, belief in in the government sort of went away.
Yeah, indeed. So in this one, we're covering the second gunman theory. So there are a lot of JFK theories. We can't cover all of them in one episode because there are just too many, and we probably will overlap a few of them.
I've got all my research on about how he just brought women in through the tunnels
Perfect.
in the White
Good,
House. That
good.
was my... When I said JFK, I meant the one where he was
That's
gagging
why we brought him
Marilyn Monroe.
That's fine. Bring whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But so 60 years after President Kennedy was assassinated, the majority of Americans apparently believe in a conspiracy theory about his death. One author estimated that conspiracy theorists have accrued 42 groups, 82 assassins, and 214 people by name of being involved in the assassination. According to a 2013 poll, no less than 62% of Americans believe that there was a broader plot beyond just the Lee Harvey Oswald on the 6th floor overlooking at Dealey Plaza in Dallas. In 1964, the Warren Commission, which, as you said, was the commission that was set up by the government to investigate the Kennedy assassination, concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone and that Jack Ruby also acted alone when he killed Oswald 2 days later. But most people don't seem to accept that this assassination was the work of a lone gunman. The House of Representatives may be partially to blame for this enduring conspiracy theory. In 1976, the Select Committee on Assassinations, which reinvestigated JFK's killing as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s, concluded that there was probably a second shooter on the grassy knoll, a hill overlooking the site where Kennedy was assassinated in his motorcade. So there is generally a theory now that other people were involved, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get all of my knowledge from the film JFK, which is widely refuted as not
accurate anyway. Yeah.
It wasn't even Gary Oldman who did it, apparently. I was watching like Batman, being like, how can they let him carry on acting if he did that to our president? But yeah, there's certain things like I don't know how the phrase "back into the left" is like seared ironically into my brain, because that's like the main thing of he was shot from the back. Why does his head go
back into the left? Yeah. And they say it repeatedly in the trial. There are parts of the film that are quite accurate, right? And they did show the footage in that trial, so that bit is accurate. And the bits that they cut in, there's just a lot about it that they've just overlooked.
It's quite funny when they say like the Zapruder film has been he's like, it was locked up by Time magazine, who did actually do like a full spread on it, and also there's probably a reason why it's not footage that you show, in the afternoon. Hey kids, come around and watch the president's head evaporate, and watch how Jackie tries to get the back of his skull. That's like that's. It's not just that it was like hidden by shady co-conspirators.
Yeah.
It is horrible. Like you see,
it's a man's head.
It is.
It's a man who was loved by half the country, or just over half the country. And
there's something about the graininess of that film that almost makes it more horrific. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you see kind of they've reshot some bits where you're like, okay, so the cadaver is an actor, but then they actually show the Zapruder film, and you are like, oh Christ, yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
But I think you have to, because especially at the time that film came out, no one had really seen the Zapruder film.
That's it. It wasn't widely known. That film did bring a lot of fact to prominence. One of those was that. Just for anyone who doesn't know what the Zapruder film is, the Zapruder film is a silent 8mm motion color picture sequence shot by Abraham Zahuda with a home movie camera as the United States President John F. Kennedy's motorcade passed through the Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas on November 22nd, 1963. Unexpectedly, it captured the president's assassination. This was just a bloke filming something with his brand new camera, and he happened to capture...
Yeah, now the sequel is not as good.
Yes, it's not.
He was there September 11th, and everyone was like, we've already got one, mate, so you're not needed.
Well, Zapruder was a 33-degree Mason. So I'm just putting that out there because we're conspiracy theory podcast, but he was.
Yep.
So you're of the angle that like that was the Masons trying to throw people off the scent, maybe, or
JFK was a Mason, so I don't see it being like that. They tend not to do those sort of things. But what I find very interesting, it's only the Zapruder film that we have, but there were definitely two people filming that haven't been found. So I think that leans into, well, they have been found, and it shows something that we're supposed to see, other than a man's head getting blown off.
Well, that's what's weird, is that one is so damning towards the theory of Oswald firing from the book depository. You would think he would have been made missing, and the tape would have gone missing.
Yeah.
33rd degree Mason.
Oh, yeah, that's what saved him.
That's what saved him.
The House Select Committee on Assassinations, I love that they've got a department for that, described the Zapruder film as the best available photographic evidence of the number and timing of the shots that struck the occupants of the presidential limousine. The Assassination Records Review Board said it is perhaps the single most important assassination record. The film was originally touted by the vast majority of conspiracy theorists as inconceivable proof of a conspiracy, but it is now believed by many conspiracy theorists to be a sophisticated forgery. So this is the other side of the argument. Jack White, a photographic consultant to the House Select Committee on Assassinations, claimed there were anomalies in the Zapruder film, including an unnatural jerkiness of movement or change of focus in certain frame sequences. In 1996, the Assassination Records Review Board asked Kodak product engineer Roland Zavada to undertake a thorough technical study of the Zapruder films. He concluded there were no detectable evidence of manipulation or image alteration on the film's original version. The Warren Commission concluded that 3 shots were fired from the Texas School Book Depository in a time ranging from approximately 4.8 to in excess of 7 seconds. Some assassination researchers, including Josiah Thompson and Anthony Summers, dispute the Commission's findings. They point to evidence that brings into question the number of shots fired, the origin of the shots, and Oswald's ability to accurately fire 3 shots in such a short amount of time from such a rifle. The researchers suggest that multiple gunmen were involved because he wasn't.
I can't believe you did that off the top of your head.
Yeah, no,
really proud of
bang,
you.
amazing.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the thing, is like getting the 3 shots out, and he wasn't that good a marksman.
No, he wasn't like a famous sniper.
No.
And they had several people try and reenact that shot. And
Yeah.
It was 5 seconds and 3 shots.
Lee Harvey Oswald did not shoot
No.
JFK. He might have been up there to do it, but that gun,
And that-
it didn't happen.
There's little doubt he was in the building, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
enough
no, I'm
witnesses
not-
say he was in the building.
He might have actually been an assassin, but he was a scapegoat. He didn't
Yeah.
kill JFK.
Because he was.
Because he carved into the thing, LHO was here
Yeah,
forever, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
On the windowsill.
that's how they knew.
And right underneath the bullet casings that he just randomly left.
Yeah, like, as you would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it maybe carved on the bullet shells as well. This was the one that killed
Yeah.
that killed Kennedy. Lols.
To die Catholic pig. You know?
Yeah.
Because he was 4 floors, where he was witnessed in the building was 4 floors away from where it's reported he made
Yeah,
the
so
shots from, right?
he shoots from the 6th floor,
Yeah.
and he's witnessed on the 2nd floor. Was it 90 seconds later or
Yeah.
something?
So we'd have to have made 3 shots,
Ran
wiped the
down.
gun down because
Yeah.
there was no fingerprints on the gun, hidden the bullet cases.
John McClane out the window.
John McClane out the window, gone down 4 floors, and bought a Coke because he was
Yeah.
drinking a Coke,
and not look like he just
and not
ran
look like
down.
he just ran. Exactly. Yeah. So
So I think what's the thing about the JFK thing is it's all fractional. Like even if you could say like the CIA did it, the mafia did it, the Cuban exiles did it. That's all questionable. It's all fractional. But then you have that element of but it definitely wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald.
that's the thing.
there.
That's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
There's so many groups it could have been, and we don't know who Oswald worked for, and he also may not have known who he was working for. But you're right that there's a lot of people with the theory that he was framed. That actually either he did make the shots, but he wasn't the only gunman, or he didn't make the shots at all. So actually, there is an argument to say there was only one gunman, but it wasn't him.
Yeah. It's like the grassy knoll is definitely the person who shot him. Well, that's what
I've got alternatives.
Right. My theory is that it was his wife who was like, "You're going to fuck this up if you."
No, do not diss Jackie Kennedy. I love
not
Jackie Kennedy.
No, not Jackie. Lee Harvey Oswald's wife.
Oh,
I think he said, "I'm going to go out and shoot the president today," and she was like, "You're going to fuck this up, so I'll come out. I'll go on the grassy knoll just in case."
Fair enough.
And she saw them bullets spang off the thing, and she was like, "Right, I'm going to have to do it then."
well, there's a really, really good movie with, well, I don't know how good it is, but I did enjoy it, with Helena Bonham Carter playing Lee Harvey Oswald's wife after the events. And it ends with her being sworn in as an American citizen. Like she says, I don't think he did it. But
well,
also
that was
she
the deal that was rumored that she cut, right?
Yeah.
Because the rumors are that
you're on this. Oh,
she was fed the lines that they wanted her to say, because their marriage had kind of fallen apart by that point, hadn't they? They didn't
yeah,
really
they were
like
estranged.
Yeah, they were always arguing.
Yeah,
and
and the rumors there was domestic violence. There was I think they had kids, but they
had a daughter.
They'd only known each other for about 6 weeks before they got married anyway. So there's a lot of.
And he was like, "If you keep this up, I'm going to shoot the president." I swear to God.
No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not.
Classic threat in any marriage.
You never do what you say you're going to. All right, I'll fucking show you.
Based on the consensus among the witnesses at the scene, and in particular the 3 spent cartridges found near an open window on the 6th floor of the book depository, the Warren Commission determined that the preponderance, I had to read that, of the evidence indicated that 3 shots were fired. In 1979, the House Select Committee on Assassinations concluded that there were 4 shots, one coming from the grassy knoll, or at least one coming from the grassy knoll. The Warren Commission had, and later the House Select Commission on Assassinations concluded that one of the shots that hit President Kennedy in the back of his neck exited his throat, struck Governor Connolly in the back, exited the governor's chest, shattered his right wrist, and implanted itself in the left thigh. This conclusion became known as a single bullet theory, or the magic bullet theory.
Yeah.
Right. Which, in fairness, when you watch JFK, again, that part of it, because it does describe.
It's iconic.
It is iconic. Yeah.
It's the bit where
It's a great film.
it's
Like,
where
it's
that's one of the things you come out of the film remembering is how did they get away with saying that?
Yeah.
And then it's not exactly how. That's not exactly how they said what happened with the bullets, is it? Because wasn't the chair was removed in the front seat so that people could see Kennedy easier, so that shifts the angles.
Yeah.
And I think that guy already had a few holes in him anyway.
Yeah, I think he did.
He'd already shot himself, and then he was like, he felt guilty about it. He was like, oh no, that was the Kennedy bullet.
But the trajectory that it's impossible that and also the bullet was pristine, wasn't it? When they
Yeah.
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 And wasn't the bullet found on the trolley, like on
Yeah,
in,
it was
in the
just
hospital?
a rando and left
Just a
it.
random.
Yeah, as if it had fell out of his body.
Yeah.
It's all like.
But then also on the other side, like, I know the CIA are, sorry for the language, but a bunch of numpties. Like they tried to discredit Castro by giving him something that made his beard fall out. And it didn't work. But surely, if someone was like, "Oh, so we need to put a bullet down,"
Yeah.
someone would be like, "Should we fire it into something first?
Yeah.
Should we make sure it's not a regular bullet
Yeah. Yeah.
that hasn't been shot?"
Yeah, it is a bit like, you're right. It is a stupid plan. Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have just fallen out of his body randomly, and it definitely wouldn't have been in pristine condition. But there was so the guy, and I can't remember the guy's name, but it's the guy who actually put the bullet on the trolley admitted to it. This was fairly recent, like in the last 10 years or so, I think, and because he was old and he thought, "Fuck it, I'm going to die anyway." So it was.
As is your bloodline for betraying us.
Yeah, and I can't remember which agency it was, but he basically just picked it up. He found the bullet, or found a bullet, and he said he took it to the hospital and just literally put it on the trolley. And for decades, people have been trying to figure out.
That was the very first prank.
Yeah.
It was like Ashton Kutcher Sr. It's like, we're going to make everyone think that there was one guy who shot the president.
I love it. So Mary Moorman said in a TV interview immediately after the assassination that there were either 3 or 4 shots close together, that shots were still being fired after the fatal shot, and that she was in the line of fire. In 1967, Josiah Thompson concluded from a close study of the Zapruder film and for other forensic evidence corroborated by eyewitnesses that 4 shots were fired in the Dealey Plaza, with 1 wounding Connolly and 3 hitting Kennedy. On the day of the assassination, Nellie Connolly was seated in the presidential car next to her husband, Texas Governor John Connolly. In her book, From Love Field, Our Final Hours, she said she believed that her husband was wounded by a bullet separate from the 2 that hit Kennedy.
Yes.
So again, there are a lot of eyewitness reports that say there were a number of bullets flying about the place, right? So we're talking about 4 here. We definitely think there was more than 3.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But there could be more than 4. Because there were multiple angles, like you were saying, that they could. So Grassy Knoll was a perfect spot.
Yeah.
But the point that they chose, or whoever set this up, chose to fire at him, it could have been from any number of perfect angles.
A kill box, as they call it. Yeah.
Pillbox, yeah. There was they could have been from the drainage from the there's a drain very close to where the Kennedy assassination happened, and it could have been someone in there. It could have been one of the guards. That's another of the conspiracy theories, is that it was actually one of the guards stepped out and shot Kennedy.
And is that in one of the other videos that we?
Well, this goes into the Zapruder film being altered. I looked for this last night before this show because I do prepare. There was a YouTube video I remember watching. Fascinated. It was like a 30-minute deep breaking down of the Zapruder film and how it had been altered, and I was like, oh right, they did. They've altered the Zapruder film. It was clearly one of his guards. Like everybody stops. Like when the what do you call that? The
Concourse,
the concierge. No, the
The line of cars.
The line of cars. Yeah, the convoy. Yeah. convoy.
The concierge, some guy coming out of a hotel. Mr. Kennedy, sir.
And then he killed John.
bullets,
More bullets. Sir. Oh no, this is terrible. But the convoy, you see the guards separate, like he was exposed. They said that it was for photographs, but Jackie Kennedy's got the big bunch of flowers. It's a centering point. And
so do you think the Zapruder film was?
I don't think it's out of the. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
What do you think, Jay?
I haven't looked into the Zapruder film enough, and I feel like
you don't like not.
If it's
sorry, that was a crap joke. Sorry, that's getting cut.
No, that stays in. I hold my penis back into the left.
A man died, for Christ's sake.
Or did he?
Or did he?
Yeah, you see. Yeah, come on.
He's definitely dead. Yeah,
either did.
They never find his brain.
Yeah, I like that theory. I feel it's just odd that kind of it was allowed to be seen and it was allowed to be bought by time, and it wasn't. If you're willing to kill a president, you're willing to kill Zapruder and just suppress that
3-degree Mason. Yeah. And I know it sounds like I'm joking, but I think that's one of the reasons.
But he surrendered the film very quickly. It just wasn't brought to light until years later, wasn't it? So yeah. Why would you kill him necessarily?
Maybe it's a case of just we don't think the forensics is there, or they probably just assume no one like Jim Garrison would come forward.
Yeah,
and do
make a whole film about it.
Yeah. Because they were probably like, well, once that's done, we will put together a commission.
Yeah,
and we'll make sure that people who were fired by Kennedy on that commission.
Yeah,
and so it'll say what we want it to say.
Yeah.
So we don't mind if that's there, because the rubes out there in America won't look into it. It'll be fine.
Well, that's the thing, and because the Warren Commission was, because the goal of it was simply to prove that it was Lee Harvey Oswald, wasn't it? There was no intention of we're looking at this on an we're looking at this as an open case. We're looking to prove specifically this result, right?
And that was on a memo that kind of disappeared on it that said,
like
just
everything.
Make sure that this proves that Oswald did it.
Yeah. Origin of the shots. The Warren Commission concluded that all of the shots fired at President Kennedy came from the 6th floor window of the southeast corner of the Texas School Depository. The commission based its conclusion on the cumulative evidence of eyewitnesses, firearms and ballistic experts and medical authorities, including on-site testing as well as analysis, films and photographs conducted by the FBI and the US Secret Service. In 1979, the House Select Commission on Assassinations agreed to publish a report from the Warren Commission critic Robert Groden, in which he named nearly 24 suspected firing points in Dealey Plaza. These sites included multiple locations in or on the roof of the Texas School Book Depository, the Dal Tex building, and the Dallas County Records building, the Trifle Overpass, a storm drain, like you said, located along the north curb of Elm Street, and the Grassy Knoll. Josiah Thompson concluded that the shots fired at the motorcade came from 3 locations: the Texas School Book Depository, the Grassy Knoll, and the Records building.
So that means Oswald was quite quick at running around.
Really, really good.
I'll do it from an angle here.
Yeah. or he didn't do any of them.
Yeah.
He was just sitting on the 2nd floor having a Coke.
So it's weird because even the actual, did Oswald do it, or was he one of the shooters, is like a wide open thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that what the film suggests is that he was just told to meet there and wait for his handler, and then the phone didn't go off, that's obviously Stone being like, let's make this guy like the most innocent, poor bastard.
If you just watched the film, you would very much come away from it thinking, well, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And it was, he was just, he didn't fire any shots. He was just framed and there was someone else. I think he was definitely involved. I definitely don't think he was the only, if he was the shooter, I don't think he was the only one for sure. But it's this thing about him being on a different floor. It's the time between the different levels and the fact that he wasn't a great marksman in the first place that makes me think, if you were going to select him to actually do the shooting, you wouldn't pick him, would you?
Yeah. I think it looks like the kind of the moment, that the time before the shooting, he was moved around to put him into close contact with, to suggest that he's been radicalized and he is gonna, kill JFK. Or like there's the whole thing of him defecting to Russia and coming back and everyone's like, oh cool, you're back, all right, no worries. Or even, we'll help you back. And no one's gone, oh hang on, no, that's not allowed, you can't do that. So it feels like there's a kind of an arm there that's moving him into, it's kind of like making sure that you have a selfie with someone out on a night out. But then in a couple of weeks later be like, I know you're in that nightclub because look, who else was in that nightclub? You're like, oh, I didn't even know they were there. Fuck. It's that. It's him being moved around kind of close to stuff enough to just suggest when the time needs to be said that, oh, it's definitely him who did it. It comes up.
And I love that when he kind of realised what was happening, he went to the cinema. Just watched the film and then randomly moved around, sitting next to different people in the cinema with only 20 people in.
Transformers film.
As
well, it was back before CGI, so just a guy in boxes. Well, there's the cinema thing about they assumed in the middle of the day the cinema wouldn't be that busy, so they could just off him. And there was a policeman that there's a suggestion that his job was to kill Oswald, but then the cinema was busier than they thought it was going to be.
The guy just opened fire in the middle of it. But because the theory is the reason he was moving around different people in the cinema was because he thought, there's a theory that was where he was supposed to meet his contact. He didn't know who it was, so he was moving around. Although
he didn't pay for a ticket, did he?
No, he didn't pay for a ticket, which is why apparently the police got called because no, rightly so.
No, I don't mind that. If he'd been talking through the film, I'd been like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to shoot you from 3 different places.
It's a shame he died. You could have got him on your podcast.
Best movie to shoot the president.
Testimony of witnesses. According to some researchers, the grassy knoll was identified by most witnesses as the area where the shots were fired. In March 1965, Harold Feldman wrote that there were 121 witnesses to the assassination listed in the Warren Report, 51 of whom indicated that the shots that killed Kennedy came from the grassy knoll, while 32 said the shots originated from the Texas School Book Depository. In 1967, Josiah Thompson examined the statements of 64 witnesses and concluded that 33 of them thought that the shots came from the grassy knoll. In 1966, Esquire magazine credited Feldman with advancing the theory that there were 2 assassins, one on the grassy knoll and one in the book depository. According to a 2021 article in Frontiers in Psychology, discrepancies in ear witnesses' testimony, I love an ear witness, regarding the origin of the gunshots have contributed to the breadth and persistence of the conspiracy theories that has emerged since the assassinations. Dennis McFadden, with the Center of Perceptual Systems at the University of Texas at Austin, summarized, localizing the origin of the supersonic gunshot is not easy under optimal circumstances. On the day of the JFK assassination, the ear witnesses presented were startled, surprised, confused, disbelieving, excited, and likely scared. So there is little wonder that their perceptions were inconsistent with the passage of time. Once the confusing acoustics of the supersonic bullet and the vagaries of human sound localization are taken into account, the widespread uncertainty amongst the ear witnesses to the assassination becomes more understandable. So that is a fair point, that there would have been so much going on, so much noise, so much confusion, that your perception after the event, when you're asked where did that come from, is if you're disorientated, you're not necessarily going to be able to place exactly.
So there's the theory that it's the echo of the shot. But people get excited. That, I think I'd agree with that on one shot. If there's one shot, you don't know where it came from, or we think it's there's an echo. 3 shots from the book depository, and then 1 from a specifically different place. People, you can pick up in that. In about 6 seconds, you don't know what's going on, but your ears have acclimatized to, we're instinctual beings.
Absolutely.
Where's the danger coming from? You would hone in on that back from when we're running away from, T-Rexes. But is there a T-Rex in the book depository? So the 3 shots, your ears have gone, they're coming from over there. Another shot, 33 people have gone, that's from over there. I think, and there was quite a few kind of ex-military and people who'd served in combat who were out just to waver, the president.
So they would have been more alert to remaining calm under pressure and
also to all point at one specific location.
Well, that's exactly it, and specifically 2, but one being the window and the other being the grassy knoll. But to all say those 2 points.
Well, I've got a bit of personal experience with it. Not this.
In fairness, actually, a lot of people do remember where they were the day JFK died. Where were you?
Where were you?
Yeah, where were you?
I grew up in Northern Ireland, and I grew up during the Troubles, and I've been in the presence of someone getting shot, and you know the fuck where the bullet's coming from. You can hear it. It's I don't really agree with that. Yes, you get panic, but the thing is, you go into flight or fight, and everything goes still, and you're completely aware of what's going on, and yes, I'm sure some people went hysterical or whatever, but there's actually a calmness that comes over you in those situations because you're in danger.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about the T-Rex.
Fight or flight thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and that's how we survive. It's a very automatic thing, and it's actually a form of clarity. I really wish I had in my normal life, but I think that's very dismissive. That says to me there is a conspiracy.
Well, that's the thing, because this is at a time before, because really these theories were not published or widespread at the time, not in 66 or 67, right? So
There's no internet.
No internet. So there's no social media. There's no way of really, if there is a conspiracy, spreading that really easily and widely. So the fact that whereas now, if that happened and a bunch of people went online and said, "Oh, I come from here," that could influence a load of other people saying, "Oh, yeah, that's definitely where I heard it from." Whereas back then, those are more likely to be independent, right?
Yeah, and that says to me, once it gets past like 10 people saying we heard it this way, they've gone, we need to come up with a reason why they're all hearing this. So let's just magic it away with this, echo.
An echo.
Yeah.
It's an echo that killed JFK.
You can't
No
echo
one's
a
gonna be
bullet
doing
hole.
because no one's going to be doing a podcast about it in 60 years' time.
Yeah, we got you, CIA. We're coming for you.
Yeah.
Physical evidence. So several conspiracy theories posit that at least one shooter was located in the Dal Tex building, located across the street from the Texas School Book Depository. According to L. Fletcher Prouty, the physical location of James Tagg when he was injured by a bullet fragment is not consistent with the trajectory of a missed shot from the Texas School Book Depository, leading Prouty to theorize that Tagg was instead wounded by a missed shot from the second floor of the Dal Tex building. So that is true. There were other people that were injured by shots, by shards, weren't there? Some researchers claim that FBI photographs of the presidential limousine show a bullet hole in the windshield above the rear view mirror and a crack in the windshield itself. When Robert Groden, author of The Killing of the President, asked for an explanation, the FBI responded that Groden thought that what Groden thought was a bullet hole occurred prior to Dallas. Okay,
That's just normal people shooting at the president.
Yeah, because that's the limousine you dropped, that one with the bullet holes in.
Did Johnson had the car scrubbed and refurbed straight away?
Yeah,
because that was not his presidential car.
Yeah. But not let's get a new car, and this is
No, it was this.
evidence.
yeah.
It's all them bits,
Yeah.
especially the cross underneath that we told him to say.
In 1993, George Whitaker, a manager at the Ford Motor Company's plant in Detroit, told attorney and criminal justice professor Doug Weldon that after reporting to work on November 25th, 1963, he discovered the presidential limousine in the Rogue Plant's B building with its windshield removed. Whitaker said that the limousine's removed windshield had a through-and-through bullet hole from the front. He said that he was directed by one of Ford's vice presidents to use the windshield as a template to fabricate a new windshield for an installation in the limousine. Whitaker also said he was told to destroy the old one.
So in there.
It is.
Maybe Whitaker did it.
Maybe. Or maybe they only
Covering
had,
his tracks.
maybe his insurance only had windshield replacement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe you just can't tell what a bullet hole is. That's the window. Whitaker, what are you doing?
It was a stone that did that.
Because these happened so much later, there's part of you that thinks, oh, this is just someone getting old, doesn't give a fuck, and then comes out and says something. But there's also part of it that thinks, at that point, 30 years later, you know so much more. There's so much conspiracy information. Are you influenced to go out and do you reform history in your head?
Yeah, so that you're an important part of it.
Yeah.
It's cynical, but, everyone's strapped for cash. Do you go, oh, well, I was there, and, it's so late that no one's going to come forward and question this.
Yeah.
What if I make up a little bit of the history so that I can, appear on a few magazines and stuff?
Well, this is very interesting because one of the people that wasn't accounted for in the Zapruder film is Umbrella Man. Mm-hmm. He wasn't accounted for until very
One of the worst superheroes.
Umbrella Man.
You didn't even stop it, Umbrella Man.
but he stands out because it had been raining the night before, but it was a sunny day when the murder happened, when the assassination happened, and they didn't know who he was for the very longest time. And then he came forward and said that the reason he had the umbrella was he was protesting against Kennedy's father's political ambitions.
He came up with some story to say so we should explain who Umbrella Man is. Umbrella Man was supposedly I guess not a marksman, but he was there to give a signle to Oswald or whoever the shooter was.
It's a very obvious signal.
I'm
going to open a fucking umbrella with an arrow pointed towards Kennedy.
You may as well have a little T-shirt that said "Shoot him now." But that was that. Yeah. But yeah, he did. But that was years later, though. He came out with that story, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was. There's a documentary on YouTube that goes. There's lots of documentaries on YouTube, but it like he was also one of the potential gunmen.
What I would say is if you've got the president driving past, and you know that the Secret Service are there, I would make no sudden movements whatsoever, and I definitely wouldn't open a fucking umbrella near him. So unless you're really confident that I'm not going to get shot, like, why are you opening an umbrella near?
Well, so I
pull out a placard that's like, here is the clear intention of why I'm protesting, by the way. Not, I've got an umbrella.
He didn't want to be too on the nose. He wanted subtlety.
No, I mean, like the Secret Service, like I've had experience with the Secret Service. I used to be, when I was growing up in Northern Ireland, I did a conference, this big youth conference, Generation 2000. And Hillary Clinton was the guest star. And I had to do, like, because I was backstage waiting to go on, as was Hillary. But the Secret Service, they're terrifying. They're not human. And I there might be lizards, but it's like they were dealing with kids. Like I was one of the older ones there because I'm an old man. But there was children there, and they were pushing them aside, and it was really like
good.
Like it was horrible, you know. So
have you not seen The End of the Bodyguard? Anyone could have a gun.
Yeah,
it's true. But I will always love you.
Another Kevin Costner film.
Indeed.
Film and photographic evidence of the assassination have led viewers to different conclusions regarding the origin of the shots. When the fatal shot struck, the president's head and upper torso moved rapidly backwards, indicating to many observers a shot fired from the right front. Sherry Gutierrez, a certified crime scene and blood stain pattern analyst, what a title for a job, concluded the head injury to President Kennedy was the result of a single gunshot fired from the right front of the president. Paul Chambers believes that the fatal headshot is consistent with a high-velocity rifle rather than a medium-velocity rifle. Close inspection of the Zapruder film showed Kennedy's head moves downward immediately before it moves rapidly backwards. Anthony Marsh suggests that this downward motion was caused by driver William Greer's deceleration of the car. Others, including Josiah Thompson, Robert Groden, and Cyril Waite, suggest that this downward and then backward motion was caused by two near simultaneous bullets, one from the rear and the other from the front right. So he was two at the same time.
Yeah, he was going to survive.
Yeah. In 1975, the Rockefeller Commission appointed a panel of experts to review the movement of Kennedy's head and body following the fatal headshot. The panel concluded that the one violent backward and leftward motion of the president's upper body followed the headshot was not caused by the impact of a bullet coming from the front or the right, but was caused by a violent straightening and stiffening of the entire body as a result of a seizure-like neuromuscular reaction to major damage inflicted to nerve centers in the brain. So
it's just a coincidence that a fucking bullet entered his head.
Yeah, that's it.
At the same time.
Yeah.
He would have done that anyway.
Well, part of it is, that's the thing, because in JFK, the movie, then the back and to the left thing, right? That we all remember that. But so the bit about nerve damage, I mean, that probably there's something maybe in that, right? That the bullet entered him and that caused him the body to react in a certain way. And there is, I guess, the slowing down the car that could be. So when if you just take it from the evidence of the film, you go, oh yeah, obviously. But then those theories kind of do stack up more so than some of the others in terms of the body movement.
It might have just been him trying to shout, can you not slow down the car?
I'm being shot
We're being fucking shot.
You prick.
Yeah.
Well, the first shot, Jackie attends to him.
She does.
Yeah, he's holding his neck, isn't he?
Yeah, and Jackie's like, "What's going on?" And
But doesn't she think it's blood? She doesn't think it's him, and she thinks blood from
because she was aware that Connell that she was aware of a gunshot.
Yeah.
She attends to him, and then he gets his.
I think we can all agree Jackie could have done more.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think Jackie could have done anything
I think
more.
we can all agree. Jackie,
I adore Jackie.
Yeah.
I adore her, and I think she's amazing.
I think
And
she let it happen.
Well, I mean, he was fucking Marilyn Monroe,
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah, fair enough. No,
Don't-
no one's looked into this. It could have been Marilyn or Jackie. Oh no, Marilyn was off, wasn't she?
Yeah, Marilyn was.
Yeah.
gone
I
by
guess
that
that's
point.
another episode.
no. Marilyn died after JFK.
Okay.
Of normal, absolutely normal
Yeah,
circumstances.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Episode 2 of Jamie coming
like
back.
like Marilyn Monroe, like she was murdered definitely, and I think she was. But that's a whole other episode.
Although she was on the 6th floor of the book depository.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think
That's what the real 6-year itch was. The 7-year itch.
Well, I think
Shoot,
Monroe was-
Imagine if it was Marilyn. What a great.
Oh,
what
well,
a
there
great-
should be a movie of that. Like,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe
Just
out
the-
for revenge.
The magic bullet going up.
that can't happen.
great.
No one can. You know.
Love it. She really put a shift in that day.
Oh, so sorry. The point that we're on here is the movement of his head.
the movement of his head.
Yeah.
So,
Might have been a banger on the radio.
well, yeah, and
The Beatles happened yet in the
Yeah.
States.
Beatlemania.
States.
Beatlemania hadn't happened at that point. Beatles were around, but I don't think they were
hadn't
big.
happened. They had
just
broken-
so we're clear, we're not accusing any of the Beatles of doing this.
Wow.
Well, why did John Lennon get shot?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
And Paul
Because
McCartney. We all know
he
Paul
was a
McCartney.
prick.
beat his wife. No.
And we all know Paul McCartney died 3 years later.
Yes.
He was
saying.
in the front seat.
Okay. Acoustical evidence. In 1979, the United States House Select Committee on Assassinations agreed with the Warren Commission that Oswald killed Kennedy, but concluded that the Commission's report and the original FBI investigation was seriously flawed. The HSCA concluded that at least 4 shots were fired, with a high probability that 2 gunmen fired at Kennedy, and that a conspiracy was probable. The HSCA stated that the Warren Commission had failed to investigate adequately the possibility of a conspiracy to assassinate the president. I think we all pretty unanimously agree that the Warren Commission was an absolute sham, right?
But what's crazy is an actual House committee, like this isn't talked about that much,
Yeah.
years later came out and said, yeah, there would have been a second person.
Yeah.
Like the whole conspiracy, the theory of the conspiracy theory is now who did it.
Yeah.
Because they've literally said, yeah, the Warren Commission is bullshit, and a government body has said, yeah, this must have been more than one person to have
Yeah.
achieved this.
Well, they've literally said it was a conspiracy.
Yeah.
They've actually put that word out there. Right?
Yeah, like conspiracy just isn't it just the amount of people involved in a thing?
Yeah.
Conspiracy doesn't mean, that it stays a secret for a while.
Yeah.
Conspiracy literally just means a group of people conspire to do a thing.
Yeah.
And so
We conspired to do this podcast.
yeah.
Yeah. And we
Sorry.
were all late today, so, well, apart from our guests.
Were you here waiting for us?
I was setting up on the grassy knoll, ready to end you all.
If you've been 3 minutes later.
Oh my gosh.
However, the acoustical analysis, I didn't know that word until today, that the HSCA presented as evidence for the 2 gunmen has since been discredited. The HSCA acoustic experts said that the dictabelt evidence came from police officer.
What evidence?
Yeah.
It's a new way of holding up your
dictabelt evidence.
trousers.
I just
Grow
worked
up.
out.
Right, grow up. all right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. A man died.
We're not going to get onto Radio 4 like this. Came from police officer H.B. McLean's radio microphone stuck in the open position. Of course, the father of John McLean. However, McLean has stated that he was not yet in the Dealey Plaza when the assassination occurred. Skeptical McLean asked the committee, if it was my radio on my motorcycle, why did it not record the revving up at high speed plus my siren when we immediately took off for Parkland Hospital? Also in 1982, a panel of 12 scientists appointed by the National Academy of Sciences, including Nobel laureates Norman Ramsey and Luis Alvarez. I don't know why these names are relevant.
Absolute nerds.
Unanimously concluded that the HSCA's acoustic evidence was seriously flawed. They concluded that the recording was made after the president had already been shot, and the recording did not indicate any additional gunshots.
Oh.
Wasn't that?
I don't think the mic picked that up, but that was.
But Dave's just shot someone. Well, again, that suggests the wider kind of influence, and it's not. That suggests it's not the mafia if people are putting in like fake recordings on police radios, and stuff.
The mafia conspiracy theory, when you look at who would have need to be in the right places and who would have need to have the right influence to get rid of evidence and burn documents and change statements and interview people, doesn't really stack up, does it?
Yeah, I mean, the mafia one it's crazy because also it's the idea that Bobby went to the mafia and said, help my brother get in as president,
well,
and then maybe betrayed them. So why didn't they kill Bobby instead of the president?
Well, Bobby did. They did.
Yeah,
they did. They did.
Yeah, eventually, but wouldn't that, that would have been easier. But I think there's the extended conspiracy theory that maybe it's the mafia with the CIA as well.
Well, and because I mean, it is on record that the mafia did do a deal with the CIA, right? Because this goes back like 20 years before.
It's all the Cuba stuff, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They were coming through Italy, and they did deal with the mafia. Say, we'll leave your casinos alone if we're allowed to basically set up camp. So there's a long history with them working with the mafia. So it's conceivable, but it seems unlikely that they drove the whole plot. They might have been linked and in bed with them, and what's his name, the guy that shot Oswald probably was, but
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby. But these are just scapegoats, and they were using these people, right?
Well, Jack Ruby's an interesting figure as well. Have you seen Ruby, the movie about it?
No.
So he was a strip club owner, and by all accounts, he was a real patriot, and he hated that the president being killed. But how did he get that close to?
Yeah, his excuse that the reason why he shot him was because he didn't want Jackie to have to come and be witness.
It's
See,
the
this is
worst
why I like him.
excuse.
And it's like, no, I don't think because you've done that. I don't think by next Tuesday Jackie's going to be like, oh yeah, that thing happened, didn't it? Like she's remembering it for life, babe.
It's sticking around.
But also, it's insane that someone who killed the president is just going to be brought out in front of members of the public.
Yeah.
How'd he get in with a gun?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like clearly somebody's told him to, well, we think there's a theory that someone, he's been instructed to carry out that action. You would have thought they would have given him a story, but they probably just went, when he comes up with his excuse, I'll just make something up, mate. Just, come up with whatever you want.
Or
and that's the best he could do.
Is it a case of they've gone, right, once you shoot him, we're going to make sure you'll be able to get out.
Yeah.
And he's not gone, wait a minute, is this the same thing you told Oswald? There is, I found out today, there's a deleted scene in JFK that shows a doctor giving Ruby pancreatic cancer in the prison. That's how far like Stone was willing to go.
Wow.
On his conspiracies.
Wow, because that film needed to be longer. 3.5 hours is not enough. In a 2001 article, Science and Justice, a publication of Britain's forensic science society, D.B. Thomas wrote that the NAS investigation was itself flawed. Thomas analysed audio recordings made during the assassination that concluded with a 96% certainty that a shot was fired from the grassy knoll in front of and to the right of the president's limousine. In 2005, Thomas's conclusions were rebutted in the same journal. Ralph Linsker and several members of the original NAS team reanalyzed the recordings and reaffirmed the earlier conclusion of the NAS report that the alleged shot sounds were recorded approximately 1 minute after the assassination. In a 2010 book, D.B. Thomas challenged the 2005 Science and Justice article and restated his conclusion that there were actually 2 gunmen. So it goes back and forth a lot on this theory, doesn't it? Depending on who you listen to.
And is that just people purposefully muddying the waters?
That's it. Yeah. Exactly.
Look over here and look at, someone recorded the sound slightly afterwards. Yeah. And we can focus on this long enough to forget about this thing over here.
Yeah.
It has so many moving parts that you can't keep track of the whole thing. And is it all been purposely muddied to do that?
Well, I think so. But there can be, the reason I think that it's been purposely muddied is because it was the United States and they don't want to admit that their president was murdered like this,
Still now, today.
Still now.
Yeah, because it was a coup. Johnson gets in.
And
keeps Vietnam going, keeps the Cold War going.
For another 10, 15 years.
And Lady Bird Johnson, what a vile woman. Can't stand her.
Medical evidence. Some researchers have pointed to the large number of doctors and nurses at Parkland Memorial Hospital who reported that a major part of the back of the president's head was blown out. In 1979, the HSCA noted that the various accounts of the nature of the wound to the president, as described by the staff at the Parkland Memorial Hospital, differed from those in the Bethesda autopsy report, as well as from what appears in the autopsy photographs and x-rays. The HSCA concluded that the most probable explanation for the discrepancy between the Parkland doctor's testimony and the other autopsy witnesses was that the observations of the Parkland doctors were incorrect. That's well known, isn't it? That
something shifty happened at the autopsy.
Yeah.
Well, the autopsy
His
was done in
brain
Washington.
went missing.
Yeah.
JFK's brain went
I
missing.
mean, like
know
you've
it was
always
blown-
said, don't trust doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
Don't trust doctors and nurses.
and
They'll
you-
only save your life.
You think they're paid far too much now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of...
Jimmy, that's not true. I'm alive because of the NHS. You know that.
You've got stuff that is like, oh, that definitely did happen, and then there's the theories. What definitely did happen is the autopsy was a mess. Like there was loads of people in there, and they moved the body to Washington too quick, wasn't it? It should have been, the autopsy should have taken place in Texas.
And the brain went missing, as you say.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like there was a fucking audience in the room, right?
Yeah.
It was. This is the bit where I don't think it's conspiracy. I just think it's incompetence. Like they just didn't do what they were supposed to.
I think the bit where they passed the brain around was that's irresponsible. I'll be honest. I know you see the president's brain. You're like, sure.
It's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Bit of bounce.
I know you've said how much it weighs, but how much does that actually weigh? But yeah,
they had a waiter on it.
again, it's contempt for the people to have to just go. It's contempt, but also it's kind of, they were right that, you know, there were no repercussions. You know, we're going to make the brain go missing because there's probably evidence of the direction of the bullet there. And it worked. The people who wanted it to happen, all the consequences have happened for them. You know.
But again, you talk about muddy in the waters is part. So yes, I think it was incompetence, but then it could also be they just loaded that many people to cause confusion.
Yes.
And because the doctor that was leading the autopsy was confused about who was in charge, right?
Yes.
And so was taking orders from people. They didn't know who they actually were. So I wonder if that whole process itself could have been intentional to just cause confusion.
Yeah. I mean, I keep coming back to the brain being missing. Right? Okay, like confusion happening, but like to lose a brain, like you know what that is. You know what I mean? You're looking at it, especially if it's the way it's been handled. So I that's always made me go, oh, that someone took that so that they could have something nice to eat. No, so that they could confuse things.
We know Jackie ate it. We know. Come on, just say it.
No, leave Jackie alone.
She's really
I
put a
love-
shift in.
You can already, you see in the video.
They
she
made
jumped
that
for it.
woman stand in a plane covered in her
Covered in the
husband's
blood,
blood
yeah.
while Lyndon Johnson was sworn in. You
And
know,
we know
no
he
one
did
gave a shit about her, and I hate that. And she was brilliant. She fought them all. I love her.
I don't know.
Great in all the films
Well,
she's been in.
she didn't stop the
I
bullet,
love
did
Jackie.
she?
No, but she. Oh,
And she was the one who was like, "Should we get the top down?"
Bit of sun.
Yeah.
like
Oh,
Monday.
drive, just turn left here.
Hang on, there's a guy with an umbrella. Is it going to rain?
Jackie Kennedy, the greatest first lady ever.
Some critics skeptical of the official single bullet theory have stated that the bullet's trajectory, which hit Kennedy above the right shoulder blade and passed through his neck, according to the autopsy, would have had to change course and to pass through Connolly's rib cage and fracture his wrist. Kennedy's death certificate, which was signed by his personal physician, George Buckley, locates the bullet at about the level of the third thoracic vertebrae, which some claim was not high enough to exit his throat. Furthermore, since the shooter was in a 6th floor window of the book depository building, the bullet travelled downward. The autopsy descriptive sheet displays a diagram of the president's body with the same low placement as the third thoracic vertebrae. I really should learn to read. But
So what was saying? It goes in through his back.
Yeah.
And comes out through his neck.
Yeah.
Is the official.
Somehow
Yeah.
it does that. Yeah.
I've had Friday nights like that.
But the changing of direction, right?
Yeah.
Well, it could have bounced off a bone, like it can be weird like that. You know, like bullets are
But then
unpredictable.
to exit again.
Yeah, but the way they say it, it's like your body is a pinball machine where the bullets
Mine is.
rattle
Play me.
full of quarters. No, it's I think with science you could explain, you know, it can scrape off this bone and do this and go there. But no, come on, that bullet's getting lodged, isn't it? It's not. If it's going into your back, it's not changing angle.
Like,
and if it does change angle, it's not changing angle and then going out at the exact same velocity.
Yeah. And again, going back to the JFK movie, although the trajectory isn't exactly how the trajectory happened, it would have had to change course. And the bit where he hands the pristine bullet to the jury and a bullet that would have just hit one bone, and how fucked that bullet is. It couldn't have been that bullet. Let's face it.
No, there was definitely things covered up, and there might again, because it was the president. You know, there are things that maybe they didn't want the world to know, and I can understand that.
But what we do know is that Jackie had time to stop it.
There is a conflicting testimony regarding the autopsy performed on Kennedy's body, particularly during the examination of his brain, and whether or not the photos submitted as evidence are the same as those taken during the examination. At the Bethesda Naval Hospital, Commander Humes, the chief autopsy pathologist, noted that Kennedy's brain weighed 1,500 grams following formalin fixation. In August 1977, Paul O'Connor, at a laboratory technologist who assisted in the president's autopsy, told investigators for the HSCA that there was nothing left in the cranium but splattered brain matter, and there was no use me opening the skull because there were no brains. Douglas Horn, the Assassination Record Review Board's chief analyst for military records, said he was 90 to 95% certain that the photographs in the National Archives are not really of Kennedy's brain. Some conspiracy theorists have said that Kennedy's brain was stolen to cover up the evidence that he was shot from the front.
Yeah, so the actual pictures, that's just some yogurt that they painted.
Yeah.
Because there was brain, obviously there was brain stuff on the car, but there wasn't enough for all of the brain. So it might not have been stolen, but something happened.
Something happened to it.
But then also, that's like the person whose job it is, like, you're gonna go steal the president's brain. There's so many people involved that. How have they not come forward later on? Like, that's the argument against
the dog at
just incompetence. You know, there were so many people who needed to be involved in this.
But do you think there is still, even if you were involved and you were saying your 90s, do you think there is still some fear?
Well, I think it's if you completely buy into the cause, it's weird because even if you did buy in, you bought in on the basis of because we need Vietnam to keep going, and then America lost Vietnam. Yeah. So they were proven wrong.
Yeah, they were.
If that's the angle, if it was just revenge for the Bay of Pigs, then maybe they are like, yes, it's still America loses a lot of its national identity if this is completely confirmed, and maybe that's why they keep pushing. There's still some documents that they haven't released, and even Trump, Trump's mental, and he was like,
well, he was trying to get them released.
Did UFOs? Yeah, but there's some that Trump didn't. Like, Trump didn't actually release them, did he? Like, maybe he was coming on.
I doubt he read them.
Well, he was coming out and saying, "I'm going to release the JFK files." He didn't.
He didn't. It's true. He probably read and went, maybe not.
Yeah, he probably saw like one of 200 pages, and you're like, "Oh God, just show me."
There's no pictures.
So, Oswald's marksmanship. The Warren Commission examined the capabilities of the rifle and ammunition, as well as Oswald's military training and post-military experience, and determined that Oswald had the ability to fire 3 shots within a time span of 4.8 to 5.6 seconds. According to their report, an army specialist using Oswald's rifle was able to duplicate the feat and even improved on the time. What a competition. The report also states that the Army Infantry Weapons Evaluation Branch test-fired Oswald's rifle 47 times and found that it was quite accurate, comparing it to the accuracy of an M14 rifle. Also contained in the commission report is a testimony by Marine Corps Major Eugene Anderson confirming that Oswald's military records show that he is qualified as a sharpshooter in 1956. According to the official Marine Corps videos, Oswald was tested in shooting in December 1956, scoring 202, which is slightly above the minimum for qualifications as sharpshooter, the intermediate category. But in May 1959, so 3 years later, he scored 191, earning the lower designation of marksman. The highest Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he went downhill. The highest marksmanship category in the Marine Corps is expert, which is 220. Despite Oswald's confirmed marksmanship in the USMC, conspiracy theorists like Walt Brown and authors such as Richard H. Popkin contend that Oswald was a notoriously poor shot and that his rifle was inaccurate and that no reconstruction of the event has ever been able to duplicate his ability to fire 3 shots within the time frame given by the Warren Commission. There's a lot in that, isn't there? Like the ability for a marksman that isn't the best to have deployed 3 shots pretty much on target
on a moving target.
Yeah.
On a moving
and
target.
also the defense there that it's been tested and it could be done, and then you go, oh, that was in the Warren Commission. So that just means someone went away for 2 weeks and then came back and went, yeah, we tried it with like a guy called Greg. And he smashed it. Where's the evidence? We've lost so many presidents from him testing. Everyone's sworn in a new date. Oh God, I guess we're gonna try it out.
Yeah, exactly. So we think that it was unlikely there was only one person involved in this. We think it's unlikely he acted alone.
Yeah.
Do we think it was likely there was more than one gunman, even if Oswald wasn't one of them?
Yeah, there's more than one.
Yeah.
They want, it was you said it was a kill zone. That's exactly what it was.
I mean, we know Jackie was involved, but I think, I think the strongest theory is Oswald was in the building but didn't do it. It was someone else who the shots fired from the book depository where kind of this is where we want people to think this is coming from. But there was at least one more, I think, on the grassy knoll. But are you going with the other building as well?
Yeah.
'Cause otherwise, you can't explain the stray bullet.
Well, there's the Deltax building, which is where the shard that hit the other guy came. They think that came from. Otherwise,
well, one thing we haven't discussed is if you're in that building in the book depository, you've got a better shot as he's coming towards the building.
Yeah, it's not the right time.
Yeah, that's
where
true.
we were.
And if you're that good a sharpshooter, you would know I want the target coming towards me so that they get bigger as if the driver accelerates, which he didn't.
Yeah.
What you don't want to be doing is shooting at someone as they're going away from you, and the target gets smaller.
Yeah.
So I've heard the defense of that was that Lee Harvey Oswald was a terrible marksman. So do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But I don't believe it was Oswald.
No, I don't think it was Oswald. I think just because like I said before, he was moved around close enough to people so that later on it could be suggested that he did it. Yeah. And also it's too shifty that like 50 police found him in the cinema, and he went to cinema. What are you doing? You're trying to get out the country as soon as possible.
Yeah,
you're shaving your head. You know.
I mean, I love the movies, but even I would get out of the country if I'd just committed an assassination.
Unless it was The Thing. If it was John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah. I go down. Or Seven Samurai. That's a good one.
Such a good film. Oh my gosh.
You don't film that much.
Even then, all the police would be like, "Oh, hang on. Well, we know he's there. We'll just watch the end of this."
Well, there were loads of seats. That was the thing.
Yeah.
But it's the granddaddy of conspiracy theories. It's the one that gives the term conspiracy theory. There's so many things that you can read into it. I mean, we haven't even talked about like the alternative suggestions about how it happened, or the esoteric things, like Delia Plaza being a replica of the Tree of Life and all that sort of stuff. And there's just so many things.
I mean, what we can all agree on is that he did deserve it. No, he didn't. He was a great man. He liked to shag about, but
Jackie.
Well, for what he did to Jackie, absolutely.
Yeah.
But he was a great man. But he was part of the reason that he was great was also because he died with unfulfilled potential.
Yeah, and it's so sad to think like he wanted peace, and that's what probably got him killed. Is like he said, we shouldn't be just a country that stands on its might. We can negotiate with other countries, even if they have different philosophical beliefs, And he created like backdoor channels with Khrushchev and to Cuba, and it was like, you're making us look weak because you're talking to these enemies and trying to stop the Cold War.
We want war. We want war. Yeah, exactly.
So he was, what a pussy. You're right.
Anyway, so we're saying we think that. there was definitely more than one person involved. Probably quite a lot of people involved. I think we all pretty much think it wasn't Oswald that actually shot him.
If Oswald shot Kennedy, it was luck. Like, I mean, like, I'm not saying he didn't. He should at him, but like he wasn't the assassin.
If Oswald shot Kennedy, then when those fleeting moments when he is in front of cameras, when he's shouting "I'm a patsy," he's shouting out names instead. If he was actually in on it and people were like, "You're going to stand here and shoot this guy," then straight away I'd be like,
naming.
"Yeah, because you've got 15 seconds in front of these cameras and you're going to get off."
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. You think he was shot from the grassy knoll. I think he was shot from the grassy knoll. You're not so sure about
I'm
that.
storm drain, and but I can't really argue that because that's a decision I made a couple of years ago. And, it's definitely the storm drain. And I go, why did I think so strongly that it was storm drain? But yeah, the storm drain makes sense to me. But I can't back that up. I'm afraid. I'm so sorry.
We'll have to ask if anyone out there is someone who shot Kennedy. Message into the podcast.
Yeah, message
Let us know.
below if we all watch our YouTube comments. Yeah.
All right. Jay, would you like to look into that camera and plug yourself and your stuff and what you're doing?
Oh, God. My name's Jamie Allerton. I've got a dumb podcast called The Best Movie 2 podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter and all that. It's a weekly podcast, or I try to make it weekly. And we answer... If you're in a certain situation, like if you've just had a breakup, we'll tell you what the best movie to watch is in that situation. We have a different guest each week. Some of them are good. Some of them, they struggle. I think.
I'm sorry about that, man. I tried.
You can't do a whole podcast with an erection, Dave. But yeah.
But I did.
I do stand up. I'm a stand-up comedian. So
you do stand up?
Yeah, I try.
Who have you been tour support for?
Who have I? Oh.
That was meant to be a big up there, man.
Oh, yeah.
You're so tired.
Yeah, I know. Ed Gamble, I've supported him.
There you go.
Yeah. I was
like a before and after for Ed Gamble.
Anyone else?
Jamie's very good. Go and see him. And he had a brilliant Edinburgh.
Oh, is Sean Akbar? No one cares about Sean. He's yesterday's news. Yeah, so, come see me. I'm in London or Liverpool or, for some reason, Halifax quite a bit. They're my peeps now.
Not the bank. Okay, good. Do you want a joke? Do you want a JFK joke?
I want a JFK joke.
Okay. I was going to tell a joke about JFK, but it went straight through my head.
Nice.
Thanks for listening.
Bye!